All right, folks, I'm back. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fort Red Line Strong. Test, test. All right, folks. So I just got a call. People were not hearing a lot of stuff on the stream. I'm going to take a quick look and see if I can hear myself on the stream. Test, test, test. All right. So it looks like the microphone and stuff's working now. And I'm hearing music through YouTube. As for Facebook, I do not know. We are experiencing some drop frames issues. You guys know how Windows is, especially about this program. It never fails. Every other week there's some issue with updates and stuff. But nonetheless, we're back live. I know you guys missed me the first heat. Appreciate that call, Dana Durham, for letting me know that the live stream was messing up and nobody could hear anything. But anyways, after that first heat, Glenn Burden was your leader. Now Weston's coming back here. He's at 101, car running almost flawlessly here. With an average of 50.5, running 52 total laps there on blue. That's a couple laps higher than what we see with Nathaniel there, 48. But Weston and Jackson right there nipping on each other's heels on green, 49 and 50 respectively. Glenn Burden turning an impressive 49 there on white lane. So we got some pretty good racing all the way around here so far. Going to leave you guys with the oval, let you watch these guys work on their cars. And hopefully the rest of the stream, everything goes well. All right, 4 red lights are dropping out to green. Here we go, folks. Weston out in the lead right now, 102 to Glenn's 102 now. Nathaniel Burton there in third place, just 1 lap down. And as we can see, a wild shot to the outside as Weston's car flies as he wiggles through the crook portion of the track. Now, this takes place for a reason. Weston's tires are too small currently, so we bent the front of his guide flag so he could pass Tech because he didn't get him a set of tires yet, but he was able to pass Tech by bending his nose down. But this also causes issues in the rear, causing it to slide back and forth. So you got to really be more careful going through the crook portion of the track, as it could send the car side to side a whole lot more, making the rear end just a little bit lighter. So we can see his whole back end here when he lets off the brake, dragging. That's another problem that you have with a bent nose on the car. So it seems like down low he's having the biggest issues. He was doing pretty good up high. Weston, of course, running for the lead and everything. Just got to take this in stride and not let it get to him. And it's pretty hard to do. Once concentration gets broke, you kind of get down on yourself like, oh, I'm never going to make that back up. But you just got to focus in, and other people will make mistakes. But as you can see, his car is not in huge disarray. He's got a really good flow to it. Nice, good coast as he goes to try to make a pass on the high side there, shooting intimidation there down low to Nathaniel Burton. Nathaniel Burton actually driving him super clean here. And it looks like Weston too afraid to maybe make the move, but he needs to either pass or get behind him because he's in danger zone there. As we can see right there, Nathaniel Burton not meaning to, but giving him just a little bit of a love tap there, sending him to the high side portion of the track. King Kirtley entering the track here today. He's got a race. He's going to be getting into the wing car race, I believe, possibly the IndyCar race. A bunch of our racers now starting to get here for that. Right now, 1:37 on the clock. The Indy race doesn't actually start till 3, so there'll be about an hour intermission in between for the guys to get their cars up and running and ready to go. It's also going to be a locked out class, the IndyCar class is, at 3.5 seconds on the orange. As we can see here right now, we have a 4-way tie. Glenn, Jackson, Weston, Nathaniel, all 121 total laps. Carson there in last place with 113, but don't count him out, folks. Carson's car is being progressively faster. Getting to the point to right now where motors are becoming an issue with each one of these drivers, as they've been running these since the rookie series, our previous series about 3 months ago. So got several races on a bunch of these cars, and the brushes are just now starting to give up. So last week, Carson, his motor gave up, leaned out one side of the motor, ended up having to put another motor in his car. So he's breaking the motor in, essentially, in this race. It's going to be a little bit slower than others, and that's probably what you can constitute the reason why he's behind where he's at right now. But once this race is over with, he should be right there in the mix with everybody else. Next up for the list of losing a motor will be probably Weston, as Weston's been running pretty fast for quite some time, and these motors always run their best right before they lay out. And of course, we've seen Jackson's motor go first, then Carson's, and Weston running in the group with them too. Must have had just a little bit harder harder brushes in his motor. Nonetheless, they're bound to be getting really, really close to being done for too. But after you've run as many races as these boys have, just in this series alone, run 15 races on that motor, plus 3 months worth of racing previously, the motors are pretty good. And being they're only $15, $14.99 here at Lanes Raceway, you definitely get your money's worth. 4 red lights drop out to green. We're back racing, and it looks like Weston's going to be leading the pack here, and Jackson just right behind him as we go into the track mate. And look, we can see Weston running a 50.3 and Jackson running a 50.3. Jackson able to actually do a full transplant on his car over the week. He's been giving me calls and asking me questions about how to do certain things and set up his spacing and stuff in the rear, which we encourage that kind of attitude for the kiddos. And anyways, he got it all the way put back together, but forgot to put the worm screws in the front wheels, so we ended up getting that set up for him before the race started. But he's actually running a new chassis, as his old chassis doesn't qualify for the GRC, as he broke the motor tab on it, and they ended up putting a strengthening wire to hold the motor in place and keep it from sliding, and you're not allowed to do that. So he ended up trading his chassis over for his brother Dalton's chassis, and so far it looks like it's doing quite well. 151 total laps tied up for first place, him and Weston. So just a quick reminder to let you guys know, chat is live on YouTube if you want to chime in and talk about this series or any other series coming up. So, you know, we got the Wing Car Series coming up later on this evening. The Dirt Ohio Valley Lawn Care Late Model Series also coming up, and the IndyCar Series for our 4 Crowns. So definitely check in for that. But if you got any questions, you can also reach us here at Lanes Raceway, 270-278-1400, for any questions you may have about racing slot cars here in Livermore, Kentucky. Minute 15 seconds. We'll be right back with you. All right, 4 red lights are dropping out to green, and we're going back racing. Like I said before, Weston leading this one right now on black lane. Right behind him there, Jackson on purple. Jackson looks like he's trying to make some moves here to maybe get him on the outside and pass him. But they're about dead even as it looks so far, with the best lap of 2.086. Weston just turning, but their medians are 2.14. Weston now getting his median cooking at 2.10. So we get a wreck there in the purple lane. That was Weston's car wrecking there in purple lane. We had several press the track call button there all at one time. So we had a pause here. Jackson taking advantage of the track call, which you always should do, and gets his car around there. Now Jackson in the lead by 1 lap from where Weston come off on black lane. But Weston beforehand, he was able to hold it off and had a really crisp, nice 2.10 median and a best lap of 2.065, right there on the crisp of breaking out at 2 seconds. So far, no breakouts to be seen, but we're just now starting to see people down on black lane. We'll see how that develops later on in this race. We can see Weston now trying to get some of those laps back from Jackson. Jackson's motor's got 1 race worth of break-in on that stomp motor, and we can see that his car is now running a whole lot tighter. He's got a whole lot better set of tires on his car versus Weston, so he's making it real hard for Weston to be able to catch him up there on that purple lane. As they both go to dive bomb down low, Jackson takes an aggressive stance going through the dead man corner. So as we can see right there, that wreck taking place there on yellow, Nathaniel Burden was actually caught up in the junk there between him and Jackson Darty. So Jackson Darty running just a little aggressive, probably a little bit of intimidation there from the black lane of Weston. Nonetheless, this gives Weston a little bit of an advantage to grab some of those laps back. And means he was taking such a good median here, we now see Weston taking back over the lead by 1 lap. So both these guys battling back and forth within 1 lap of each other. Nathaniel Burden there in 3rd place, followed by Glenn Burden. They're all just about 3 or so laps down from the lead. We see Jackson make a nice clean pass there on the underside of Nathaniel Burden on yellow. Nathaniel Burden's car just a little wiggly through the crook of the track there, but other than that, he's got a pretty fast car to be just getting in this GRC race with these guys. Also, Glenn Burden's car running exceptionally well today, too, up there on green lane. He was the fastest first heat, and I think we're probably going to see some changes there with Glenn as the race continues on. As we head over here to the track, maybe we can just kind of look here at Glenn Burden. 49 on white, 46 on red. That's just 1 lap shy of Jackson. 50 laps on green. That's tied up with Jackson. So we can see that Glenn Burden's definitely going to be a competitor here later on in the game as we start to turn down to the bottom. So it's probably going to end up being a battle between these top 4 here for who's going to bring home the win. Leave you over here with the oval portion of the track. You can watch these guys work on their cars. We'll be right back with you. All right, 4 red lights are going to drop out to green. We can see Weston's car there in the high banks portion of the track there on yellow as he's going to make the first lap. Also leading the pack here currently by 1 lap. Jackson there in second down on black. He's probably going to be able to pull that first place here pretty shortly as he's got such an advantage when it comes to track position. Keep an eye on Glenn Burden. We're going to see nothing but climbs from him from here on out as he's going nothing but down low as he runs his bottom 4 lanes, blue, yellow, purple, and black to finish up. Nathaniel Burden there in 3rd place currently on orange lane. He's going to fall a little bit as he's going to end up ending on green lane. So we had 3 cars involved in the incident. 2 cars to survive that, both Weston and Jackson running impressively here. 225 total laps, everybody else involved in the incident. Don't forget, here at Lanes Raceway, we do hold pinball competitions live on Friday nights. We turn the lights down low, turn the disco lights up, get a little rock and roll music or country music, western music, whatever you want to call it, any kind of music really. And we all kind of get in there and play some pinball competitions. And it was a pretty intense little battle, if I have to say so myself. Is I usually don't get in the competitions, but I got into it this last week. Is we've had a Charlie come down from Indiana and play with us, and we had us a little bit of a battle on Iron Maiden. And I'll tell you what, Charlie, just starting out playing pinball, making this his hobby, he's really good to just be starting out. And he put up a battle. I think it ended up coming down to just a couple million. I was able to barely squeeze it off, but I should, being they're here where I work at constantly. I ended up getting beat out of the tournament, but nonetheless, I recall on such the good time that we had there on the pinball action this week. Now, I will say this, those pinball competitions are very cheap, and they're not meant to be highly competitive. Later on, we are going to try to set up some stuff for the IFPA, to have an IFPA point system here at Lanes Raceway for those that do want to go serious when it comes to competitive. But our pinball competition is more casual type thing, just a social type deal to get in and have some fun playing pinball with one another. Playing games together is always more fun than playing by yourselves. I always say a $5 entry, 3 strikes you're out. At the very minimum, if you have a horrible night, you still get to play 3 pinball games. First, second, and third get pinballs for trophies, and they split the pot for the entry fees. 12 seconds left to go in this race. Jackson Darty out in the lead now with 256 total laps, able to do 51 impressive laps so far. Weston Durham in second place with 47, Glenn Burden 48, Nathaniel Burden 43, and Carson 44. For some reason or another, it shows Glenn Burden in third place, but actually Glenn Burden's actually in second for some reason or another. I'm sorry, he's second in laps turned this heat, but he's actually still down a few laps total. 10 laps to be exact. My fault. I'll get my eyes crossed over here, ladies and gentlemen. Nonetheless, he's still in the bout, and like I said, keep an eye on Glenn as he's going to start climbing from here on out as he's going down low. Just 10 laps separates him from second place as we end that heat. Right now, Jackson's on top of the world, also known as Gold Dust, and he's hanging in there, doing some pretty impressive moves here as we see him run the best on blue lane out of everybody here today. But Glenn Burden right there on his heels with 53, just 1 lap difference separates him on that. We'll see how well Glenn does there on purple and black as we continue on. But I'll tell you one thing I know for sure is Glenn Burden's pretty hard to beat down low on black lane. So details will ensue as we continue. 52.4 laps on average for Jackson, 51.8 on average for Weston, and Glenn Burden 49.8 to round up your top 3. I'm going to take you over here to the oval portion of the track and let you watch these guys work hard on their cars, and we'll see who ends up taking this thing home. This round robin 5 of 8. We're going into the 6th heat coming up next. All right, 4 red lights drop out to a green. And we're going back racing. First to turn a lap here is going to be Glenn Burden down on purple. We're going to see him climb. He is already got her within 9 laps to Weston. And you're only going to see that climb more and more aggressively in the next few heats. Glenn Burden hitting the track call button for what looks to be himself and his son. So Nathaniel Burden and Glenn Burden coming off right there. Quick on the button there. Nonetheless, we're going back green racing. Down low on black, we got Carson Ross, a very fast GRC racer here as of late. Breaking his motor in this time pretty much. So we'll see how well he develops out through the rest of this race. But we can see he's got it within 6 laps to Nathaniel Burden already. So his motor definitely breaking in pretty good. Best lap of a 2.158. He's right there on par with everybody else. This lockdown gear ratio stuff, something to it. I'm telling you, these guys really enjoy racing neck and neck like this, more so than, maybe making their car aggressively, fastly tuned to where that they just run off and leave one another. And I'll tell you right now, I'll enjoy watching races like this 20 times over, something like that. See Carcinogen, also known as Carson Ross, over there playing the drums in the air, a little air drum action. So we go back green racing, a 4-way cluster through Dead Man's Corner, leading the pack, Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden really pushing hard. Right up on the outside of him is Jackson Darty, also known as Gold Dust, with his new gold body, as you can tell there. He calls it the gold brick. I guess it goes along with the personality. Nonetheless, Jackson holding him off. It's going to be a tough way for Jackson to hold him off for the remainder of the next couple heats. Right now, we are 3/4 of the way through 6 of 8 with 1 minute left to go. And I'll tell you right now, Glenn Burden is putting on a show here. Down on purple, down low where Glenn loves it. He's really hanging in there and pushing real hard. So he makes a pass there on Jackson Darty. One second, folks. All right, looks like we're going to be starting the race here in about 5 seconds. Also, looks like we're dropping quite a few more frames, not to mention we have lost the chat. Here we go. Back to the oval cam. Jackson out in the lead, 3:18. 7 laps down from him. Weston and Glenn Burden chasing the dream, as he's got Weston within 4 laps here. Probably going to end up passing him here round robin, 7 of 8. And within 12 laps of Jackson, Jackson's really going to have to hold it off. 4 red lights drop out to a green, and here we go, folks. Jackson still has a shot at this for sure, hanging it in there. He's just going to have to really, really focus in and not wreck, and try his best to carry as much speed as he can there on orange lane, because he'll be in white lane next, and I'm telling you, it's going to be tight. As we see Glenn Burden get it within 10 laps, it's looking like Glenn Burden's probably going to bring this one home, folks. With 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go here in this race heat, Glenn Burden right there threading the needle median-wise of the breakout time of 2 seconds. No breakouts yet to be had. He's really cranking it in there. And it looks like he's fixing to pass Weston here to put himself in 2nd place next lap. Here we are. And he is now in 2nd place here with 334 laps. About 10 laps separates him from Jackson with 52 seconds left to go. Unless Glenn just completely has a come apart in the next heat, he's got this one in the bag, it looks like. 42 seconds left to go. Jackson hanging in there, 34 total laps, losing 6 laps to Glenn Burden so far, just this heat alone. Carson Ross looks like he's finally got his motor there broke in. 2.33, 2.34 there on yellow. Jackson involved in an incident there. Definitely not what he wanted to see, as now that lead has been broached to 5 laps. Jackson, 3:55, still holding that lead, but he lost a lap and a half right there to Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden and Carson Ross, the only 2 to make it through that debacle through the dead man's corner. All 3 of the other cars involved in an incident. 23 seconds left to go. Round robin, 7 of 8. Nathaniel Burden there in the bottom with 3:25. He's going to drop down to green lane here. He may be able to catch a few people come next lane. We just see Glenn Burden there taking an aggressive stance there through the bottom side of the track, and able to keep his car under control coming out of dead man's corner, just nice and smooth. And that's what's making the difference here, folks. As we see Glenn Burden there, he loves it down low. 58 laps on black, turning 1 extra lap than Jackson there. Like I said, it's tight between him and Jackson. As we take a look here, 47 to 46 on red. The white lane and Jackson not yet ran, but Glenn turned a impressive 49 on white. 50 laps, 50 to tie it up. 49.51 to Glenn, so he lost a couple laps there. But then he got a lap back from Glenn on blue lane. Not yet to see there on yellow, tied up on purple, and lost a lap to Glenn on black lane. So very, very close. This next heat, it's looking like Jackson's going to need to turn at least a 51 to stay competitive here. But he's hanging on there with 365 total laps. Glenn Burden going to have to make up those 4 laps, though. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. Our top 3 here really, really close to each other. 52.1, 51.6, 50.7 to round up your top 3 on average. Heading over to the oval, watch these guys work. We'll be right back with you. All right, folks, the final heat. It boils down to this, and it boils down to me breaking headphones. And I just broke one. Jackson, 371. Glenn, 369. Jackson's holding it off, but car goes the high outside there. Looks to be on the red lane. Weston Durham, Weston Durham there, 369, going to the high side. 10 laps down from Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden within one lap. He's needing Glenn Burden to fail here, but you can see the difference between them here from the back stretch to the front stretch. Glenn Burden and Jackson right there neck and neck with one another. We see a little bit of back-to-back banter between the two. Both of them just upset. I don't know. I think Glenn's, he might be getting in the series, as Jackson was asking him earlier. Said, were you in the series? You're starting at 0 and all this. And Glenn says, I'm changing that today. So Glenn may actually get into the series here as he's down one lap, now tied up. 1 minute left to go. As we see a car go to the high side yet again, and a pass on the inside makes Glenn Burden and Jackson both on the same lap. It's going to come down to the wire, folks. One thing that Gold Dust was correct about, it was going to come down to the wire. So we see a full cluster up here. Jackson has no opportunity here but to gas it. He has to, and he does so as he takes the inside here of Weston and sends Weston to the wall. He needs a good coast, and he didn't get one. Half a lap separates Glenn from Jackson. Looking to be that Glenn Burden currently in the lead here by half a lap. So Glenn Burden probably going to go on cruise control here as he's so many lanes down lower than Jackson. He really doesn't have to push hard here just to keep his car in and make sure Jackson's behind him. That's all he's got to do. 395 to 395 currently, 44 seconds left to go, separating your first and second. Weston 382. We see Nathaniel Burden about 10 laps down from Carson. Carson getting his car finally reeled in there. 342 on orange is respectful for sure as that motor's finally broke in. We see Jackson here with his fresh new chassis doing quite well, but it looks like he gave up one lap to Glenn Burden here somewhere along the line, and it cost him the race, folks. Like I was telling you, with these locked out gear ratios, a lot of times it just comes down to one wreck that'll separate you from winning and losing, and that's what we're seeing here today. That one wreck costed Jackson. As we see Glenn Burden there, 413 to Jackson's 412, and that's the end of the race, folks. What a great race we had here today. But it does show, it shows Glenn Burden and Jackson on the same lap. As we go to the oval here, we can see that Glenn Burden's going to take it home. Glenn Burden actually fixing across the start-finish line here, as we can see from the picture, and Jackson picking his car up there. But what a race we had. Literally, folks, what it boiled down to was just one wreck. One wreck. And that separated first from second. But it's good to see these guys ending up on the same lap. Good camaraderie between the two. A lot of laughing, a lot of joking, a lot of slapstick, having fun. 51.8 on average for both these guys. We can see our third place battle there pretty close too. 49.9, 49.1. Nathaniel Burden there, 47.9, having a few wrecks in one of his heats there on red. Just kind of kept him out of the mix there a little bit. But none other than that, very, very, very tight, close racing. That's what we like here at Lanes Raceway. I'm Donnie here. That's our first GRC race. We'll see if we can come back and have another one of these later on tonight if the boys want to do it. If they're going to stick around. I know it gets a little bit late, and it all depends on how our other races go. But coming up next at 3 o'clock, we're going to have the Indy on the road course here at Lanes Raceway. And that's going to prep the lines for our upcoming wing car race here at 6 o'clock tonight. And that's about to be a pretty big bout as we got a couple big timers back in the mix. King Kirtley, Randy Kirtley, and Guillermo Sire just worked on a new chassis and car. They're going to come up and try to mess around with Tom a little bit. Tom's been holding it down in the wing car series. We'll see if somebody can maybe put a scar in his face. We'll see. But other than that, Stay tuned. Coming up 3 o'clock, we'll be back live streaming again for the IndyCar. See you then. God bless you, and be careful out there.